When you're ready.
Alright. How do boxers demonstrate courage? The answer to this question is they demonstrate courage by stepping into the ring and putting their body on the line for the sake of their sport. The topics I'll be covering is courage versus fear and the distinction between the two, the stimulus material conversation on the bridge and its connection to boxing, as well as, and as this third topic, Simone Biles, the article about Simone Biles and the connection to the boxing material. The fourth topic is going to be the media portrayal of boxing, and the fifth is going to be drawbacks of demonstrating courage in boxing, and the sixth is going to be the conclusion. Some context. So, fear is an unpleasant and often strong emotion caused by anticipation or awareness of danger and accompanied by increased autonomous activity, as stated by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Boxers are always going to experience fear when stepping into the ring and putting their body on the line to fight. But they also must demonstrate courage in order to overcome this fear, and as stated by Mark Twain, courage is resilience to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of it. And it is important to realize that there is no courage without fear, and if there were no fear, there would be no courage. Now, the connection to confrontation on the bridge. So the dog there may represent racism and the police that were going against the African Americans in the Selma to Montgomery March. And these people that were on the bridge may represent the civil rights advocates who were marching for their rights. So the marchers who were marching at Selma had overcome fear because they were under the risk of being beaten to death by the police force that were confronting them. There was eventually an event called Bloody Sunday where these marchers had been really beaten by the police force, but this eventually led to the uplifting of African American status in society. They had to demonstrate the courage to overcome the fear of being beaten, and in order to attain the rights that they were advocating for. And this can connect to boxing, because boxers have to overcome their fear in order to perform well in the ring. Now for the connection to Simone Biles. It's important to know when to back down, and Simone Biles is a perfect example of doing this. Simone Biles had to back down from the Tokyo 2020 Olympics because of her deteriorating mental health. This mental health issue may have been caused by the pressure to perform by the media and the public. It's important. The public usually views sports as a theatrical kind of performance, and this places an expectation for athletes to always perform well and to never back down and perform above their abilities. It is important to realize that athletes are not some kind of gods and are just people trying to make a living off a sport they excel in. There may be media backlash over stepping down from a challenge for the sake of their health, but it is important to realize that if they step down from one issue and are able to endure this backlash and avoid a career-ending injury, let's say, they will be able to continue to perform in their sport. And this is going to relate back to boxers, because they have to know when to step down and give up on their fight for the sake of their health, because they may endure, if they know they are at the limit and will not be able to continue without enduring a career-ending injury, it is important to know when to step down from the ring and end the fight. Now for the media portrayal of boxing. So the Rocky franchise is a perfect example of how boxers are demonstrated to have courage. So Rocky persevered through his various addictions, such as drinking and smoking, in order to achieve his goals. He persevered through these challenges in order to move forward with his training. One of the famous scenes from Rocky is when he was running up the stairs. Previously in the movie, he had been training for several weeks and had not been able to run up the stairs without having to stop. But eventually, he persevered through his challenges and made it to the top of the stairs without stopping. This can demonstrate how he demonstrated the courage, persevered through all his challenges, and eventually made it to the top of the stairs. He also demonstrated courage in going against Apollo Creed in the final fight of the movie. Apollo Creed was the number one rated fighter in the movie who had challenged Rocky, an unknown fighter from Chicago, and Rocky was at first reluctant because he was going against the number one boxer at the time and had no clue if he would win or not. Eventually, at the end of the movie, he did not win, but he had still demonstrated the courage to go against an unsurmountable challenge and managed to perform well through all this adversity. And it is also important to consider the drawbacks of demonstrating courage in boxing. An example of going too far and demonstrating too much courage and continuing past your limit is Kim Duk-Koo's fight versus Ray Mancini in 1982. Duk-Koo was knocked out in the 14th round of his fight and did not wake up and passed away in the hospital 4 days later. This is important because Duk-Koo had continued past his limit and eventually passed away because he went too far and did not know when to give up. This was a significant fight because it caused a revision of the allowed rules and caused the max amount of rounds allowed to go from 15 to the maximum amount of rounds allowed to go down to 12. And this demonstrates how boxers back in the day had to go much more past their limits in order to achieve the win in the fight. That's the conclusion. So boxing is one of the sports that requires the most courage and demonstrates this quality and boxers demonstrate this quality simply by entering the ring. Fear is always going to be present in the sport of boxing, and as stated by Willie Pep, the two-time featherweight champion, you are scared the first few minutes of every single fight. This sport requires courage, but it also is important that it's important to recognize that fear is natural, and it is good to know when to back down from the fight.
Okay, thank you. Oliver, what evidence did you gather for your paper you didn't include in the presentation, and why did you choose not to include it?
Some evidence that I gathered was some personal experiences of mine with demonstrating courage in boxing. And I decided not to include this because I found it would be better to include outside research rather than my personal experience, because I feel like that would speak more for my conclusion rather than my own personal experience.
Okay, thank you. What are the implications of your findings to the community?
I believe my implications of my findings are more so to the boxing community because it demonstrates how boxers have to demonstrate courage, but it is a very kind of common misunderstanding that boxers have to always never back down and go to the bitter end. But I believe it is important for the community to realize that it is okay to give up and recognize your limits in order not to endure career-ending injuries.
Okay, thank you.